Welcome to The Unspoken, a platform for the advocacy on health and social issues in the uncomfortable conversations using people's personal stories. And today we're going to talk about boy child. Joining us in this discussion is Brian Nyambego.
Boy child. On this one, I'm going to be hot. By hot, I mean humble, open, and transparent, because the topic here is the boy child. And having transitioned from a boy to a man, it hasn't been easy, because you see, sometimes for someone like me, I'm going to use like a true story for myself. I remember when I was in high school, after finishing high school actually, my dad told me one thing: I want you to go to the offices, uko kwa chief. Make sure you go there, you register, and then you're going to get your ID. And he made sure that that process happened, right? And then there's a statement he told me that from today, ukishikwa na mapolisi, now that's up to you. It's not up to me. I won't be there for you. I've been there for you all this time, so I won't be there for you. Mark you, I was yet to turn 18 years, still 17. That's the first instance of transitioning from a boy to a man. You know, from there you'll know that, or probably you can guess that there's a lot that is yet to happen. And the whole thing about being given pocket money, being favored, now that's where it ends. Now that's the whole point. But when I look at my cousins who are girls, I remember for them it wasn't like a whole issue for them to go for their IDs, for them to go for their I know, it's going to sound like probably it's cliche, but I know for myself, I've seen it happen. So basically for them, it wasn't a big deal. But for me, from the words, from today, it's up to you. I won't be there for you. Now that's transition. But for my cousins, they were. I remember them being told, even right now at this age, I have friends who still stay at their parents' house, which is okay. And they're not rushed. They're not being rushed. They're being told, you can stay here as long as you can. And then probably at the end of the day, you can leave. When they bring up the conversation of them wanting to go out there, the parents are like, no, you're rushing. So I think we can start from there, from a point of knowing that it's real. This conversation is real. Boys transitioning from a boy to a man it's hard. And we have to tell each other the truth here, because I am a boy who has transitioned to a man, and I've seen what it has taken for me to get to where I am. So, yeah. It is a blessing. It is a blessing, a big blessing for me. I don't know for there's this guy out there, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be a boy. And it's a blessing to realize that, it comes with a lot. Yes, it comes with a lot. It's like, you're never prepared for that. When you're born as a kid, you're never told, you're never given the manual of, at the end of the day, you're going to do this, you're going to be a man, you're going to have your own responsibilities and all that. You're born from a perspective of, oh, you're my kid and all that. And then when you hit 18, it erupts on your face like you're a man now. So it's a blessing for me. Though it comes with a lot of responsibilities, and actually being a boy and you're a firstborn now, that's a whole package. Yeah. Wow, this is amazing, because you see, when you say a time bomb, I look at, I'm envisioning this as from a point of you're in a landmine field. When you step on a landmine, you don't know you've stepped on it until you'll know you've stepped on it. Then you'll realize that you can't move your leg from there, because at the end of the day, you're going to die. So I feel like there's a whole thing that is being breeded that we don't see at the end of it. Because let's look at, personally, I've seen people, like let's say the deputy president's wife, Dorcas Rigathi. She has a whole program to empower the boy child. She is a woman, right? Yes, we can say she has 2 boys. She doesn't have a girl. But basically, she's a woman. So for her to bring up a program to empower boy child, it's because she has seen there is something that is missing. She has seen that there is something that needs to be added. Because you see, at the end of the day, I was having a conversation the other day when I was at home. I was at a neighbor's place. And then the neighbor was like, Brian, you know, for you guys, he did generalize the whole thing. For you guys, it's not an issue. For you guys, it's more of, okay, he said for you guys, it's like an issue because you have a lot to handle. You have responsibilities. But for girls, it's more of, you know, you just have to be pretty and then go out there. And, you know, for you, you don't have a lot of things. It's just you looking pretty and you're done with school and all that. And then, yeah, I was looking at that conversation that we were handling. Then I was like, okay, now this is going to bring issues. Because you see, from a point of, I'm not going to talk about ladies, but I'm going to talk about the boy child. How can we solve this? Because you look at, we have a lot of responsibilities to solve. We have a lot of things that we're supposed to handle. And yet, a lot more still happens from a point of, you know, you having responsibilities is one thing. You having things to handle is another thing. But now there's this added notion of probably the boy child not being empowered. Now that's the third thing, and that now creates a whole time bomb whereby we don't know when it's going to erupt, and when it's going to erupt, it's going to be something that we can't even solve anymore. Because let's use an example of a disease like COVID-19. When it hit, I think, or probably I believe that if it could have been contained when it was still in the lab, it could have been much easier. How many people died? Thousands of people after the whole thing came out of the lab, right? Then now here we are today, you know? Yes, it ended, but it ended up by causing a lot of deaths. So I feel like we need to go back to the roots and start empowering the boy child. The reason I'm going to high schools personally and reach out to a boy, it's because I know the kind of pain that guy is going through. I know what it feels to be a man. I know what, you know, all that combined. So I feel like we need to go back to the roots and then solve it from there. It's like mending hearts. So we need to mend the boy child from the roots, because they always say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to teach like that small dog before it becomes a German Shepherd, a big one. Now we teach it from the word go, from when it's a small dog. So once it's grown, now it knows how to jump over the fence, it knows how to handle a thief and all that, yeah. Tukiongelea empowerment ni that we need to go back to the, you know, tunaongelea sitaki leo tuongelee story ya msame grow kwa mababi. Nataka kuongelea ule msee ako kwa kijiji. There's that kid over there mwenye you get, yeye kimaliza shule, there's no otherwise. For him it's more of maliza shule, probably get whatever grade you're going to get, they don't even care. Then upe pikipiki uanze kuendesha, then probably you know, that ka 500 in a day, anafeel ako contented. And then from that point, you know, now he has a family, probably a kid or two. And then now the 500 he gets in a day it's not enough. So look at this. This guy, when he was in high school, he didn't get like someone to empower them and tell them, this is it. You need exposure, you need this, you need that. And then let's look at from another perspective. After they're done with high school now, nobody cares about the grade they got. Nobody cares about where they're going to go. They're like, okay, now go, jifunze kuendesha pikipiki. And then now, ukisha jifunza kuendesha pikipiki, you know, we can now probably sell land to kubuy pikipiki, then now you give back to your family. Which is not okay when you look at it. We're breeding more young people like the same he is. So what we need to do is just go back to the roots and then look at that kid out there who doesn't even know what exposure is. Let's go back there and look at this kid who has a dream, but probably they don't know where to go. That's where empowerment starts from, like the boy child. That's where the empowerment starts from, because you see, it's going to be more tough for us in the future when we have like a more like a struggling generation than we have today. You see, so we have to work as hard or as much as we can to make sure that we've empowered the boy child. We've come up with programs that can make sure that, you know, we contain the situation before it gets worse. Before the guy gets a boda, before the guy decides to get a family, we've empowered them from a point of they're in high school, or probably we've told them that, you know, it doesn't all end in the village. There's something, there's like a greener pasture out there. So I believe we should start from there. Now this is an interesting topic, because you see, ukisikianga tu hiyo phrase tu ya jitegemee, now it hits your mind that maze, I'm a man, so I need to do much more. So basically I feel like we are more of taken as mwanaume ni effort, you know, those things, mwanaume ni effort, mwanaume jitegemee, mwanaume this and this. It's not supposed to be that way. We're also human, we have emotions, and when I talk about emotions, people need to take us seriously, because you see, at the end of the day, I'll provide as a man. Then you guys will be happy. Then at the end of the day, if you don't support me emotionally, where am I going to go to? Because I've seen families break. I've seen some people who had money, probably, I don't know, there's this guy, I don't know, there's a guy in America. This guy had money, this guy had a good family, this guy was providing, he was actually a multi-millionaire. But at the end of the day, this guy ended up committing suicide. Why? The main reason is emotions. You know, it's like he was containing his emotions on his own. He was locking them up every single day, not telling anybody. Why? Because everybody was taking them, or probably taking him as a provider in the family, but they were not looking at the emotional side of, he's also human. We need to look at their emotions. We need to, you know, someone comes home, they've provided, ask them, how did your day go? Genuinely, there's a word I usually use when I talk to people. There is a difference between telling someone hello, then they'll reply hello. How are you doing? I'm good. You see, but when you start a conversation with hello, then the guy is like, hello, how are you doing? Genuinely. Now that completes everything. I've done that a couple of times and I've seen people open up. Then they were like, I didn't expect someone was going to ask me this. Regards that I'm a boy, people think that I'm a superhuman. You see, so we need to start from a point of understanding that men have emotions too. And transiting from a boy to a man, it's not easy. So I think we need to start from there. Then people should understand that. People should know that we exist as well. Because you can think that someone is in town doing shopping, someone has gone to probably Carrefour, then they have like 2 trolleys, shopping imeja, but sasa, you don't know what this guy is going through mentally, emotionally, and we don't bother to even ask them. You see, because there's a day I was in school actually, and then I had a friend of mine, he'd come from home, then I was like, niaje uko fiti? Kanambia, hey, niko fiti, but I know you'll obviously know, it's like this phrase, you'll know it when you see it. So I felt like this guy is not okay. And then I was like, ebu kuja hivi kando kidogo, nataka tupige story. We sat there for like 2 hours just talking, him narrating to me how the past 3 days have been, you know. So I feel like we need to start from there. I'll use a personal example now. It's not easy to open up. You see, it's very, very hard for someone to just open up and tell you, mtu akwambia nimeachwa, nimeheartbreakiwa leo. Personally, I went through that. I went through a heartbreak, man. I had to nurse it for like... It took me around 2 months to nurse that heartbreak. But when I got out of that hole, I said I'll never go back there again. Reason being, you know, we usually are like, nobody is genuinely asking us how we feel. Nobody is genuinely, you know, people are like, at the end of the day, he's a man. At the end of the day, you know, so for us to open up, we need someone you can trust, number one. We need someone who it's going to be, it's like, you know, sometimes a story is a story until it's told, but now the person you're telling the story, are they worth it telling the story? So is someone you're sharing your emotions with worth it sharing them to them? Because you see, sometimes we've been betrayed a couple of times. You just went out there, shared with someone because you were told by a therapist, it's good to share. You shared your emotions. But now after you finish sharing your emotions with this person A went to person B, akamwambia, umse maze, ameachwa. So when I get that conversation, I'm not getting it from person A, I'm getting it from person E now. That, mazeni niliambiwa hivi ni ukweli. So now I feel like I'm betrayed. So from that point, I'll be, hiding my emotions. I'll be defensive rather than being offensive and, telling people, this is how I feel. So I think when we are looking for people, or probably when you are out there as a young person, or just anyone who is a boy child, you see, we need to know who to share to. Of which, saying we need to know who to share to, we don't know at some point, but we need to create a safe space. So if you're a person you're person A, who's being told the story by me, let's say. If I've told you my story, if I've told you what I've gone through, don't go sharing my story to person B, to person C, until it gets to me from person E, because now that will create hatred, that will create a lot of things. So if you've been told, or probably I've told you how I feel, take it from a point of, put yourself in my shoes. What would you do? Then help me from there. I think if I do that to you, then you do that to, Steve does that to Devi. From that, we'll be changing something. So if someone is listening to me today, I think what they can do is just, make sure that whenever they ask someone how they're feeling, that saying just hi, kusema tu hi, kwaje, then unamuuliza tu genuinely, niambie wiki yako imekuaje maze. Naona? So when we start from that point, then we sit down with people, we make it worth it being told, then we don't go out sharing in a negative way. Now we come back to these people and be like, man, I found this today and I feel like you could use this. From that point, I feel like as a man, or probably as someone who's gone through a lot, when you find that one person who matters, when you find that one person who, kind of takes care of your emotions from a point of, genuinely being there for you, I think it will start working out. It's like mending a heart from zero now. Yeah. From a point of safe spaces and trusting, this is how it goes. If you don't, let's say, you're in a group that doesn't treat you well, you're in a company that treats you like trash, right? What do? And you get to an environment where you're appreciated, then I think you value more the environment where you're being appreciated, not the environment where they're bringing you down every single day, where you're being shouted at and all that. So I feel like it's more of, if we don't have safe spaces, let's create it for ourselves. Let's start from there. Let's start from the foundation. Hata nyumba ikianzaga kujengwa, look at it. This auditorium time ilianza kujengwa, man, it wasn't looking as good as today. We didn't have the carpet, we didn't have the seats. We just had a structure imejengwa tuna, the cement, and it was so cold in here. Right now it's warm. Maze, we can record content here. Why? Because it started from the foundation all the way up. The workers used to go home wakiwa wamechoka. Sasa hii msana kuja hapa, anachila na record content yake anaenda home. So if we don't have safe spaces, let's create them for ourselves. Yeah.
Chari.
My story with my dad began a long time ago. And I hope that as I share this, it's going to help one person out there. And it's going to impact someone. So when my mother was there, or probably I can say growing up, I didn't have like that good relationship with my dad. I can't lie. Because you see, my mom used to be there. I used to go to the kitchen. Mami ni ule mtu tungepiga story na genuinely tunaongea, like I could just open up and then be like, mami, kuna ule manzi niliona, I don't know, ananiambia sawa kesho ndakuja shule. Then I'll tell you. You see, having such conversation, open conversations. But now my dad is this person who could come home and then hi, mko fiti hivo. Then we don't see him until the next day in the evening again. So there wasn't that relationship. You see, for like 15 years, there was no relationship. My dad, so the attachment with my dad was never there as much. So probably we could be attached with each other, not emotionally, just probably mentally, and be like, oh, daddy amekuja and all that. Like I could just be like, sawa. My mom could be home and I'd be like, mami ako wapi? I'd go say hi. So from that point, growing up, my dad sometimes used to come to school, angekuja na maji na gazeti. Mami akikuja shule anakuja na food. That created a difference. Mami akikuja shule, akiona nimeanguka, she doesn't look at the bad grades. She looks at them and tells me, Brian, you need to improve on these ones. And then she'd talk in a, then I think from there she'd create something, and I'm like, Mami cares. Daddy angekuja shule, the first thing is just shouting at me like, Brian, you need to, I'm a firstborn, plus now I'm a firstborn. You need to improve this, So for 15 years, I never had that emotional attachment with my dad. We never we never connected as much. So when my mom passed away, it became even worse. Now I felt like my biggest cheerleader was gone, man. So what was I going to do? So for like a whole year, we didn't talk with my dad. Angekuja atoke job, mi nipite tu, tunapitana tu. We don't even say hi. For the first 3 months, I think it happened like that. We never even used to say hi. We used to go to events, then amateme ile family gathering. We smile, but people don't know what we're going through. So it really made me think again. So by the time I was launching my first book, I realized that now I have, we've done this for long, and I felt like the only way to solve this is to sit down with my dad and tell him that, Dad, this has gone, we haven't done the things that we're not doing right. And if you see, you're my dad, we're not talking this way, we're not having a real conversation together. So probably this is the same thing that I'm going to do with my kid, and I don't want that. So I better resolve that. So that's why we usually look at the generational, probably, the generational curses, the generational problems, that it has to end with one of you. So me, I was like, it has to end with me and my dad. I don't want it to continue with, me and my kid anymore. So from there, this day, he comes from work. Then I'm like, Daddy, I was thinking that today we can have a conversation. Our sitting room was only being used when we were having, conversations about why did this go wrong. We never sat, hatukuwa kwa sitting room yetu, tufurahie tucheke. Mami akiwa, we used to sit in our sitting room, birthdays, happy, tunapiga story, my dad used to smile, but now all of a sudden ilipotea. So I wanted that thing to come up again. Even if it wasn't going to be there completely, at least once in a while. So basically, this one day he comes home, then I'm like, Daddy, we need to have a conversation. We sat down together, and then I was like, do you realize for the past probably 7-8 months, we've not had a real conversation? I haven't told you what I've been going through. Now, where is this going to? And then he was like, I was also waiting for these moments. So if it wasn't me striking the conversation, he couldn't have struck the conversation, you see. So it's because I made a decision that it's going to end with me. And then from there, we created that karapo pole pole. And the next day we were like, hi. The second day after that, we were like, hi, this is what we cooked. The fourth day we were like, hi, I went to Shosho's place, this is what I did. Oh, alikwambia nini? Oh, are they okay? So now the conversation kept on growing, pole pole. Though for the past 15 years, remember, it wasn't there. So I think from there, I learned that patience is also key, and being committed to, we've said we're going to have a conversation. So I had to strike the conversation at first, then we could move from there. So as a man, as a boy, I mean, me and my dad, it was tough. But right now, trust you me, there's a day we could go months without talking, even on the phone. I'm in Nairobi, he's at home, probably working on something, I'm working on something, we don't talk. But I can talk to my siblings, remember. Probably anaweza kuwa kwa room, then anasikia anaongea na my siblings, but we're not talking with him. So we had such kind of a relationship. But I came to, then I was like, I need to end this. And then I just sat down, we had a conversation, then from there it was productive. And I can say up to date, I'm just thankful for striking the conversation with him, because that really, really helped me a lot. You see, the simple conversations, the small talks are very key. I think from a point of a son to open up to the dad, it's very hard. That one I know it's very hard. I've gone to family setups where I've seen the same thing that happened to me like 15 years down the line. We solved it, yes, but it's like I wasted the 15 years of me being with my dad, having conversations, because the times I used to go to my friends' houses, mazee, let me tell you, nenda kwa nyumba kina bishte yangu, the dad anakuja anamgotea kamuri. Ni aje, siku yako imekuaje? Then me, I'm like, me and my dad, we can't do this, man. We can't do this. We can't do this. So I was like, I need this. Like, I really needed that, and I didn't get it. So what do? It's either I mend it here, or I'll do it to my kid. So I think it's very hard sometimes. So when you create that space whereby your kids can be free, look at Abel Mutua, Judy Nyawira and the kid. They usually have random, normal conversations together, whether it's a boyfriend, whether it's on menstruation and all that. They have conversations that probably our parents couldn't strike with us. And look at Boniface Mwangi with the kids. Maze, mtu yeye anaambia babake, you are my nyanyez. Niambie mzee wangu hivyo, ni coffee. That's it. So we need to create a foundation for our kids. We can have free conversations, like just telling them that, let's have, when you come from school, when you've eaten and all that, let's have a 10-minute small talk. Let's have a conversation. How was your day? Who bullied you at school? Who did this to you? God forbid that, but let's have those small talks. That's what will lead to a healthy conversation in a family. And I believe that that's when firstborns, that's when a boy child will start opening up.